Welcome to the Broken Pencil Booking Company Pro Wrestling Podcast and radio show infused with hip hop. I am Wood.
Made daily with organic, farm to table, localized, neuralized, sterilized, Scotch guarded for 2020 repellent, available online, shipped via Amazon, not available on Sundays, but now available on thebeastradio.com. Broken Pencil Logic. You stay classy, internet. I'm Suave Burgundy.
Ooh-wee. If you can see the things that we have to deal with on this end over here.
Boy.
First and foremost, today is Thursday, December 16th. Year of our Lord.
Year of our Lord.
I said year of our Lord.
Year of our Lord.
20 and 21.
Amen.
Happy National Podcasters Day.
And because it's National Chocolate Covered Anything Day.
Oh.
Happy birthday to my wife.
Oh. Happy birthday to El Presidente.
You feel me?
You know what I'm saying? We got the mayor's constituency while the missus out here running for office like she campaigning for the Black House.
You feel what I'm saying? So we here for a good time, not a long time, because I have prior obligations.
And I said Podcast Thursday. It's actually National Podcast Day. However, you can't have a podcast without podcasters. I never heard a robot conduct a podcast. Yet. Coming soon, but that ain't going to be over here. You're probably going to hear this episode on Friday, December 17th for a reason. That reason is going to be at the end of this episode. Do not jump through this episode. I'm spoiling. Shouts out Tan Spot, Black Spot. I'm spoiling the ending.
Don't bury the lead. You got to do it like Attitude Era Raw. Stone Cold Steve Austin is on his way here. We don't know what he's gonna do, but he's en route to the venue.
In this case, replace Stone Cold Steve Austin with the Snowman, DJ Tony Snow.
Can't ban the Snowman. Yeah. Oh. You know people are really still getting jail time over typing out B-I-H-H-H.
Bro, well, first of all,
no matter how many H's you put on it, if you type it out, you go into Facebook jail. Luckily, I'm marked safe. I've never been in Facebook jail. Been in Twitter jail before, not Facebook jail.
I got put in Facebook jail over B-I-H-H-H. And in regards to a
whole lot of fucking gang shit. You got to find more creative ways. I started spelling it B-I-S-H. Bish.
I mean, you can spell it backwards. That also works. But our latest guilty verdict has been handed down via gavel with no trial to Dog Wonder.
Space Los, Coast to Coast.
AKA Logo Los, Lostradamus, Hairline Los.
Crispy.
Yo,
excuse me. I'd like my shit fried hard, please.
Hold your head, fam. We'll be here when you. And I got money in your commissary, man. I just sent you a couple microphones. That's how it's happening.
We'll put some on your phones. Don't worry about it.
Normally we kick off when we're talking. We already have the music going. There's a reason why I haven't had anything going yet.
Speak to the people. Tell them what you need them to know.
We about to talk some money, and there's only one way that we can talk money.
He got the ball.
Oh man, Broken Pencil Money. Yeah. This is Broken Pencil Money.
Yeah,
this is Broken Pencil Money. Suave Danger, hitting that Broken Pencil Money. Yo. Yeah. It's a whole lot of paper on the table right now, bro.
But I thought you was gonna play some Crime Time for the homie JTG and rest in peace Shad Gaspard.
Money. Yeah.
I'm on Logo Los's case until we shoot a video for Bougie Pursuits, because that verse cannot go unrecognized. We got too busy. Like it's a hat trick of stuff that has never happened since, and it's the only time it's ever happened in history.
Well, what are we talking about?
Me, Los, and J Rose and WAP 100.
What are we talking about?
Not WAP 100.
Yeah, that's that old Win and Mex LimeWire shit.
You gonna file my
you don't get some extraneous downloads.
like Watt 100 is not on this record rapping.
Wait, what? I never. No, he's not.
No. He's not on this record. Don't do that. Yeah,
that's like looking for the world heavyweight champion on Shotters, because it says Mike Tyson is in the movie, but apparently it was somebody named Mike Tyson, not Iron Mike Tyson. So there's that.
Nah, this is Mike Tyson from the gas station.
Yo,
how rough must that be to have a name like that and then do like some regular shit?
That's what happened to Vivica Fox. There was Vivica Fox and Vivica A. Fox. Like, there was two of them. Like, first of all, why we got two Vivicas in this world? Let's talk about that.
I mean, it happens. Sometimes you just roll a dice, but like every Michael Jordan in the world, except for maybe two, gotta feel like a complete just... How do you live up to that?
And one of those two is B, Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, emphasis on the B. No gang banging.
Yo,
Oos gang, what up?
Shouts out to the Mr. Bag himself, Pat McAfee. God, man, I don't. When you hear
price just went up, price just went up, price just went up.
Yeah,
that's Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee secured a 30. Hold on, let me put some stank on this. A $30 million bag.
When you make that much, it's steady.
$30 million bag.
You feel me?
Per year, with the option for a fourth year. So we going into 3 years at $30 million. Let me put this in perspective for you people. And Pat McAfee's famed but not so illustrious NFL career, he amassed less money than he's about to make in the next year because of FanDuel, of all people. FanDuel.
He's one of the only punters I can say as a football player. Because there's a rule, if you've ever played contact football, punters are not football players. Like, they are the only position on the field ever that is protected more than a quarterback.
You're protected before the play, during the play, after the play. And the only thing that you have to do is get the fuck out of the way.
You are not allowed to be touched while you are performing your one function during a football game.
Now, in the event that he does a punt and something's coming back his way and they break the other 10 people in front of him, he is the last line of defense. Pat McAfee is one of those people that they used to want to get active.
Right. Now, if you tuck the ball and turn into a runner, you're fair game. If you tuck and then assume a throwing motion, you are then fair game. But other than that, if you're just kicking the ball, you're literally untouchable.
Man.
Pat McAfee is the antithesis of what I think of punters and quarterbacks.
And he also is the antithesis of what you would see from athletes turned broadcasters, as he has easily the most charisma out of anybody to ever grace a microphone, saying Shaquille O'Neal.
And not a bad talent in the ring either.
Nah, he's undefeated, isn't he?
He
won his first match. He won his first match.
What was his first match? Versus Adam Cole?
Yeah.
He lost that.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
For some reason.
He put on a hell of a performance, but yeah, he lost that. Trained by Rip Rogers, too.
The hustler. The hustler, Rip Rogers. Shouts out to Rip Rogers.
So I would like to officially stamp Pat McAfee as having fuck you money.
Ooh, yes, sir.
He can literally walk into a room and tell anybody, fuck you, and be comfortable in his decision.
Including the people with which he works for and with on Friday nights.
Including Stanford. If he wanted to go left field on Friday Night SmackDown on Fox Live, what you gonna do?
Nothing, because his bag still, either way, the casino stays open.
To quote the Dallas philosopher Big Tuck, not a damn stain on me.
What else said? Yo, as we keep moving,
real shit.
More Baggington Securitas. There was a picture floating around of one Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson with Nick Khan,
good old Saint Nick,
and the Machka Khan, Nick Khan's sister.
Right.
Apparently, Rocky has been knowing this Khan family the majority of his life, as they used to run around Hawaii together while Rock's grandmother would be promoting wrestling events with the High Chief Peter Maivia.
Dwayne. No Hillman.
Listen.
Dwayne.
Nick Khan, Namachka Khan, Dwayne Johnson.
Yes,
in the same building at the same time.
Explain the function of the one person we're not familiar with, because this is important.
Are you talking about the Machka Khan?
Yes.
She is a showrunner and has been heralded as not being a showrunner, but being the showrunner. She's also the creator of the TV show Young Rock. Understand the person that we're talking about here. The person that we're talking about is the brainchild of the on-screen semi-biographical account of The Rock's life, who happens to be the sister of the WWE president.
So the WWE president, Peacock, NBC, and The Rock are all tied together. So this is new news to me. I did not know that they were all childhood chums. And we've been seeing a lot of unloading as far as WWE talent is concerned. Some people would consider it dead weight, old contracts, old money. It's a lot of shaving going on, like shaving a haircut time.
2 bits.
You feel me? So recently there's been a story that is circulated that WWE is going to go away from their old payment model. They will no longer be cutting separate checks for merchandise sales. They will strictly be paying a salary to talent. Now, the way I read this, it would be like, well, talent who doesn't really get used as much, but they're on the main roster. It's good for them because they're guaranteed money. But like for your top earners who would earn a massive amount of money and then an additional check for merchandise,
your loyalty to the brand, your loyalty to or your work, that your body of work means nothing. Apparently, we're not saying this is what happened, but apparently that's how this is reading.
But until I see more, like it's like on the surface, you take away the incentive to help get your merchandise over. Because it's like, okay, I'm not going to make any extra off this. So, I mean, why pitch my concept for dope merchandise that I know that will sell when I'm not going to get an extra cut off of it?
And I can't go to like Pro Wrestling Tees or any like outside shop.
I might as well save those ideas for the eventual cut.
Now, let me ask you this.
And then open a Pro Wrestling Tees store.
Let me ask you this. How did we go from McAfee to the Cons and Rock to T-shirts?
Because
wait, hold on. Before you give me the because, let me put a little carrot in the air. What happened the last time Rock went out in public with somebody from his past?
He bought the XFL.
He was with his ex-wife and bought a damn football league.
Which is exactly why we're talking about this. Everyone's been speculating about, is the WWE going to be sold? Who could it be sold to? Who are your potential buyers? Well, ladies and gentlemen,
it's
the
me.
new front runner.
Hi, it's me. It's Bag.
You know what I'm saying? The new front runner as far as the Broken Pencil Booking Company Pro Wrestling Podcast and radio show infused with hip hop is concerned. The Rock as the leader or the lead face of an investment group, similar to what bought the XFL, is now the front runner to us. You tied in with the guy who's making all the moves and budget cuts right now. Per some reports that we've already discussed on previous episodes, Nick Khan is the guy slated to replace Vincent Kennedy McMahon when, that inevitable day comes.
Not a McMahon.
Right, not a McMahon. Now, look, real life logic says it's Stephanie's situation to turn down. Now, she may say, I don't want the head role simply because, she's engulfed in being a wife and mother, and she may feel satisfied and want to concentrate on that. I totally understand it. Totally fine.
And let's be honest too. Vince's role is a lot. Vince has been documented as only missing maybe a handful of TV over the last 25, 30 years, right?
Right.
And being at both Raw and SmackDown, and now to some degree, whether it's teleconference or whether it's actually in person in Orlando for Tuesdays, there's no way Stephanie can continue to grow the brand and be Vince.
Yeah, like you're gonna have to delegate responsibility, and then that kind of has it brings up a conversation about who you delegate that responsibility to. We've already speculated about who's gonna be let go as soon as Vince lets go.
Let me ask you this, contract wise. Okay. For on the talent side, so we're talking about these newer contrived contracts. Will they start immediately, or will this be effective for the new talent, or upon a re-up of a contract?
I feel like I need to check this out, because you have current deals that are still running. Those are going to have to expire before it becomes a company-wide thing. Expire
and be fulfilled based on the terminology of said contract. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
Okay. As long as we're on the same page with that. Here's my question.
The contract's going to have to be fulfilled and settled on both sides. Like, you're going to have to, there may be a percentage on how many days you have to fulfill, or hell, because it suits WWE so much better, they just say, well, fuck it. We're at the end of the time period. You're gonna lapse, or you're gonna roll over into this new shit.
We're in year number 22 of SmackDown. We're in year 20, going into year number 29 of Monday Night Raw.
Don't sell it short.
When these contracts run out and the NXT 2.0 cast starts to make their way to Raw and SmackDown,
that's who's going to be dealing with this shit. Like, those are the people, everybody who gets signed now, and then potentially, these NIL kids, they're the ones who this is going to be about.
Do we see a WWE that's damn near unrecognizable in 5 years? Because I don't think anybody has a contract right now that's outstanding more than 5 years, or even 5 years. So I'm being really generous by saying 5 years from now, none of this shit matters.
You give it enough time for contracts to expire, people to be released or re-up, and all that different stuff. But yeah, I think this is supposedly going into effect at the top of the year. I have to find the article because I don't want to misquote anything.
I really hope we can get to the bottom of this in a reasonable amount of time. We love money. Obviously, that money. Yeah. Like, you have to be in love with money in order to do any type of business, no matter what it is. You can say you do it for the love, but hell, I love money. So you can say I am doing it for the love. That said,
I take it a step further. I don't necessarily love money. I love what money can do.
There we go. Money is a concept. We're literally putting our all of our eggs in a basket of an ideal based on something that's on paper, right? So it's like currency, like that's what we use here in prison. They use cigarettes and stamps, whatever the case may be. Whatever your poison is, yes, I totally agree. I love what money can do for me. Don't really care about the money. So thank you for helping me rephrase that. That said, we have a lot of this to dig up, and hopefully we'll have some more for you in 2022 on this, because the contracts being exposed is going to be something that I think we're going to see a lot more of, especially with the dissolution of ROH and the reemergence of ROH coming April 2022. We don't know about what's going on with MLW. MLW is being a little bit more transparent to the public with their contract situations. AEW still hasn't released anything money-wise. They just say that they're tiers.
I mean,
you can draw
there
your own
are tiers.
You can draw your own conclusions of what that means, but the fact that they have 5 different programs right now, like, that should tell you everything.
Right. So I found the social media post, but not the article. So apparently this there's no more extra money for merch. There's no extra money for working house shows, and no extra money for pay-per-view.
Whoa. Wait,
however,
what?
Yeah. I told you this shit get deep. So there's no more money for merch, no more extra money for house shows, no more extra money for pay-per-views. However, the guaranteed money that talent earns is now higher than ever. So we're almost at a situation we're moving into pro sports type contracts.
So are they robbing Paul to steal from Peter?
Yes. Because then on top of that, you know, the whole Twitch thing and the whole social media and getting outside endorsements, that's over with. Because they cut that off already. So it's worse than a professional athlete's contract, because a professional athlete can earn supplemental income off their name and likeness, because they are who they are.
Right.
They just can't wear the team uniform.
Okay.
Or you'd be like Shaq, where like you can wear your number, but I forgot, is it maybe not your name or something? It's some combination as to how you can get away with it. But you've seen Shaq in the Icy Hot commercials.
Yes.
But yeah, it's about to get deep.
Hey, remember Tap Out? Yeah, me neither.
You see what I'm saying? That partnership didn't last very long. So like, you're gonna see more Pizza Hut and people like throwing pizzas into the crowd and Snickers, and you'll see all of the big brand endorsements because WWE's big business, but you're not gonna see the notoriety is gonna come from the people who are placed in those positions, and they won't see any additional money because of it. Right. You wouldn't see Roman Reigns get a Nike deal, which I know absolutely would be possible. Any gang, any shoe gang deal. Under Armour. Under Armour will be built in. Bro. Are you kidding me? Like, the same way Dana White transformed the UFC to be a Reebok entity is the same way Under Armour can be infused into WWE because of one person, Dwayne Johnson. If Dwayne is anywhere near it, then you got a really good shot at it. Man. But they're streamlining the money end of WWE right now. Like, it's gonna look different in 5 years, but we're probably gonna be able to live to see a time where WWE is not a destination spot to work for people, you know, in the industry. Like, you know how like people are like, oh, I want a main event WrestleMania, that's why I got into wrestling. Yep. You may not see that anymore, bro, because you're taking kids from college that don't have a wrestling background and may have only watched a little bit during their teenage years. Do they and that's the thing, like, are you signing them because they're okay with taking a bag, and do they really have a genuine interest in becoming professional wrestlers? Because you haven't put anybody through a boot camp to say, or a combine. Speaking of, remember the combine that came on the network a couple of years ago? Sure do. Why haven't we seen more of those? If you got this next in line program, like, have they gone through a combine? And if they have, why haven't we seen that combine? Like, that shouldn't be anything that should be left unturned. Hell, we've got heels on TV now. Cause that was a test for content. Like, with with the group that we watched, those are all people who made a conscious decision to become professional wrestlers. They were already made anyway. It wasn't like we got people that weren't already signed. These people just went through this for a skills challenge. Bianca Belair had no damn business on that damn combine. She made it interesting, but she had no business being in there. It helped her because it made her look like more of a superior athlete. It was which like, she is. Exactly. It put on display that she was a superior athlete. Same with Montez Ford. Omos was in that same combine. Riddick Moss was there. You name it. If you saw them on NXT while it was still black and gold, chances are they were at and participated in that combine.
Man.
With kids coming over from NCAA who, like we say, may or may not be wrestling fans, may or may not have the prior knowledge or the prior desire to be professional wrestlers. You can do it. I can see them bringing it back, but their learning curve is a lot different. Like, previously, you had people in that combine who might have actually wrestled before. And they're just getting their shot in WWE. Going forward, you're going to have people that have never taken a bump before.
That's what I think has happened right now with this next in line. I mean, of course, who am I to be one to judge anything? But like the twin sisters that's out west, I don't think they've ever taken a bump. And who's to say that they're even interested in being professional wrestlers unless WWE is going a different route with sports management, which also very well could be a possibility. And speaking of, shouts out
who's involved because of Nicholas and Dwayne. I think we're witnessing a coup.
There's a lot of that going on here. Like, let's talk about what's happening in NCAA for a brief second.
Bruh.
Travis Collins, number one standout defensive player number one player in the country as of 2 nights ago. Signed to Florida State, decommits to Florida State to sign with Jackson State University. Why? Because arguably the greatest corner to ever come out of Florida State University is the head coach of Jackson State University, which just happens to be a HBCU, historically black college and university.
That's not arguable. He is the greatest corner to ever come out of Florida State. He may be the greatest cornerback in the history of defensive backs. Like, let's be real about this. Matter of fact, I would vote him on a list as the greatest defensive back ever because he's played multiple positions, how long he played, and how dominant he was while he was playing. Anybody else you put in the conversation was probably playing before I was born.
A lot of people are arguing that the cornerback position is akin to the linebacker because it's a part of the secondary, the defensive secondary, and which to me, I think linebacker is part of the primary, but that's just me calling it.
Front seven and back of house.
Yeah, that's how I see it. But
the pay is much different the further away from the line of scrimmage you are.
Yes.
Except for pass rushers.
Yeah, and I mean, and Michael Parsons is single-handedly going to change that. Anyway, it's another conversation. That's another conversation.
I want to see when they have to negotiate that. Hey, Jerry, pay him now. That way you ain't got to worry about it.
Yeah.
Pay him now.
Yeah, talk to Zeke because Zeke going to come off some of that. Now.
Nah. It ain't Zeke the one that's got to kick back in. You know who got the most money.
Oh, yeah.
Out of that 2016 class. That's the one to kick back some.
Yeah, that's Dakota. Rain Dakota. Look here. So all that happens in Florida State within the last few days, right? Yeah. So his stock goes from number 1 in the country to number 2 in the country. We see you what you're looking at. We know what you're doing. But this goes in part of with this next in line. So does WWE come in with the NIL, or is there another NIL that he's going to qualify for just to get this bread? I'm sure it will. We say that to say this. While we were talking about the Nick Khan, Dwayne Johnson situation, Suave sends me a text message. I click on the text message, and here it is, Mr. TB12 himself, Tom Brady. Quote, I am proud to partner with this lineup of NCAA and newly drafted athletes for the first Brady campaign. These hardworking and driven players embody the spirit and ethos, an ethos in which the brand is founded. From my fellow Michigan men, Cade McNamara and Andrew Fetney, to Shador Sanders and Jermaine Samuels, and more.
Shador Sanders, son of Deion Sanders and quarterback of Jackson State University.
I was getting there. Let me finish the quote.
Fuck all that. The people need to know.
And Jermaine Samuels and more. I'm excited for the world to see world to first see Brady on the next generation of superstars. Brady is taking pages from his own book, from the Colin Kaepernick book, from the Nike book, from even his wife's book. Giselle Brunson, or whatever her name is, Giselle Brady, we call her that, for this campaign, this marketing campaign for these young men. And as you said, Shedeur Sanders, son of the same one we're talking about, Deion Sanders. You got Tom Brady back in this, man. And like you have Tom Brady
out here about to pull off.
Go ahead, man.
You got Tom Brady out here about to pull off some really, really remarkable shit.
Here's what's even crazier. With something like this happening, can you imagine the impact of this to the XFL? You actually can get star power.
Mm-hmm. So now the NFL isn't, now obviously the XFL has to exhibit some consistent presence and success, but we are, again, 5-year plan. We might be moving into a season where the NFL has to start handling themselves different, because they're not the only game in town in terms of where people want to go. Some people may not like the way the NFL does business and say, you know what? To hell with you. I'm gonna go play over here.
Man.
And it's very possible, because you could have one of these kids that's making these decisions right now say, you know what? I don't want to go to the NFL.
I want to go to a black-owned league.
I want to go somewhere with more freedom and better, better litigation, better arbitration situation.
You're being very very objective in that. No, you got some people that's gonna be like, I want to go play for a black-owned league.
Right, because this is true. I didn't want to take it all the way to lowest common denominator or just use that, because there's going to be other kids of other ethnic backgrounds who are going to say fuck the NFL too. But for the most part, yeah, that's who we're talking about. And those same people that are like super, super angry and burning Deion Sanders Florida State memorabilia in effigy, those are the kind of people that are going to absolutely hate everything that goes on with the XFL, because they feel like it's a threat to how they have conducted themselves for eons.
Man.
Them days over, fam. Do you realize people are buying imaginary real estate?
Bro, did we have the conversation on this show, or was this off the record? Because that might have been the canceled episode with Carlos.
Yeah, that was Logo Los. That's yeah. They'll hear it soon enough, but that was
yeah. We don't want to beat that horse too bad, because y'all gonna learn.
You real soon. Figure it out, but yeah, that's the world is changing. Is the whole idea. Money moves is gonna be the name of this show. I make money move, like Cardi B. Okay, once upon a time, back when I was doing radio. Shout out to RockuNation.com.
What up, Shay?
You feel me? So once upon a time during Dirty Rotten Radio, before it was campaign radio, I made the statement, and I said it in jest, but I was also very serious. I said Waka Flocka is the future. And if you follow his career path and the different things he's done, I was absolutely correct. Allow me to tell you now that Cardi B is the wave of the future. Making money moves is going to be the new getting on social media. The way you wake up in the morning and open your favorite social media app and check your messages and see if people done like stuff and all that. Money moves are going to become that simple.
This is, oh man, I don't even understand this type of paradigm shift while we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Understand me?
Mm-hmm. You let too many smart people sit at home. You let entirely too many smart people sit at home with nothing to do other than think and create. And now they have created a whole new world that technically doesn't exist, but now costs real money to live in.
Man. And speaking of pandemic and things that don't exist and real money, all this type of stuff, when this show ended last week, we talked about the well-being and being concerned for one Jeffrey Nero Hardy. As the week went on, we went to Twitter. Shout out Matt Hardy brand. To which Matt Hardy has been a stalwart, a trendsetter in the world of social media before things like Twitter, while Facebook was getting its national push. He was using YouTube to his advantage, post-buy from Google. Matt Hardy had left WWE and had gone to ROH. It was doing indie shows again. And we saw this Matt Hardy with a cameo from a very jovial, very relaxed, very healthy looking Jeff Hardy. Not even 2 weeks after a quote unquote bad weekend. Suave, I have but one question for you.
Shoot.
Have we just seen one of the biggest talent coups in the history of professional wrestling because of social media?
It is quite possible. Now, allow me to preface whatever I'm about to do going forward with this statement. If what we assume to be true is true, it is pure genius. And also lame as fuck. And some people listening to this, may feel one way or another. Let's unpack why it's pure genius and also why it is lame as fuck.
The genius lies in the fact that in less than 90 days, you could get the reunited Hardy Boys in another organization with potentially another tag title run, which puts them higher in the argument for greatest tag team of all time.
You can stat pad your legacy, work less dates, make comparable money, and be with your family. So you got more days at home with your kids and your wife. You're working with your brother again, where you've had the most success by far overall. Now, you've been a success on your own separately, but at times you've been your own worst enemy. You probably should be even more famous. But obviously, Tony Khan's going to put you in a certain tier because you still have name value and you can still perform. Working less dates is going to work better for your physical because you're not going to be taking as many bumps and certainly, not working as often. Because let's be honest, you're probably going to get Hardys and Young Bucks, and then maybe Hardys and Lucha Brothers. After that, FTR, but that's not as much of a hype thing. That's more like for us, like we would see it. We would want to see that just to see FTR go hard.
Man,
same thing with the Briscoes. More so to see. I'm gonna watch Hardys versus Briscoes to see the Hardys get their ass kicked. Because that's the type of wrestling I like. I like when wrestlers fight. But for all these reasons, it's pure genius. Absolutely. 100% pure genius. You own your name and likeness. You can be Jeff Hardy wherever you want to go. The part about it that makes it lame is that to pull off this pure genius move, you have leveraged your past, present, and future addiction issues. Which is some creep shit.
let me I don't even want to call this playing devil's advocate, because if he leveraged that in a match, sucker shit, no doubt. But if he indeed just had a bad week, like for instance, I haven't been able to sleep properly in probably 3 weeks. I don't understand what the hell is going on. Maybe I need to see a specialist, but I haven't been able to sleep good in about 3 weeks. If he had a bad weekend, it's possible that he was traveling, had insomnia, couldn't sleep, and that's the equivalent, as they say, of driving drunk. So saying that you had a bad weekend is very ambiguous. If he indeed had a bad weekend and one assumed that he needed substance abuse treatment I'd be upset too and tell you, no, I just had a bad weekend. I'll be all right.
No, I get that part totally, 100%. And if that's what happened, if it was a physical issue that manifested itself, and they decided to try to send you to rehab, and you denied, just no, I'm not using. Then cool, totally absolved from everything I said. Then this is just pure genius and nothing else.
Yeah,
and it's a big oof on Stanford's part.
Yeah, because there's a whole lot of things you could have did like that. I could drop piss. Like what's happening?
Right. But here's the thing. We're not that far removed from the last Jeff Hardy slip up. So there's a pattern here. We have enough evidence as onlookers of this situation to know that, okay, Jeff's runs as clean are just as frequent as his runs as
dirty,
not so clean.
Sting 2011 TNA.
There is balance within this. There's almost a split down the middle pie chart.
We should actually call that counterbalance.
Either or. So if it's a physical issue and you just wandered out into the crowd, no, that doesn't seem like what you would do. Like, if there was a physical issue, there would be an X thrown up and somebody would come see about it.
Yeah, something led him to leave the premises. And I don't think it was a referee call, because he was in the ring for 7 minutes.
Again, all stuff that kind of pushes itself to believe that there's an issue. And like I said, leveraging your past, present, and future addiction issues. He's had it before, even in the recent past. So in that particular situation, WWE has to be responsible, because you can't have people that have filmed what happened at that house show, and then it hit YouTube, and then you don't try to offer him rehab, and then 2 weeks later you find him in a hotel room.
Right.
I know that sounds fucking morbid, but let's keep it real. It's the same thing that happened with Kurt Angle, because it was like, look, you need help. He said no, he got released, and then the legend of Perk Angle is what it is. I
mean, we've also seen, not to bring up the bad, but two notables. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, also Eddie Guerrero. Like, those are probably the most popular.
And then with Eddie Guerrero, it wasn't drug use. It was a heart condition.
It was an enlarged heart, but that was also it was side effects or after effects from what could have been enhancement materials.
These things are all on the table.
Yes.
And then with Kurt Hennig, he was no longer employed with WWE when he passed. But yes, if you're synonymous with dropping H-bombs, then come on, fam.
Right.
So with Hardy being able to pull this off, like I say, it is pure genius. It's also lame to leverage, addiction issues. That's creepy to me.
Yeah, I really hope that's not the behavior that caused this, because now the respect level goes way down, your stock goes way down. Meanwhile, he's still going to collect a huge fucking bag for it.
Yeah. Your stock as a human being is a little tainted. Now, because people have a soft spot, and this is going to sound fucked up, but this is junkie behavior. People have soft spots for junkies that they love.
Your uncle, not your uncle, but everybody has that uncle.
Has an uncle, an aunt, a sister, a cousin, somebody. You have somebody that struggles with something, and you will not abandon them because of the love you have for them. But, in a reality-based thinking, it's like, this is what it is. So, that being what it is, there are a lot of people who are sympathetic and just say, whatever Jeff wants to do to be happy, whether it's voiding a contract, lying, manipulating, whatever it is. But let's keep it real, that's 100% junkie behavior.
Yep.
Tell mama he done smoked the TV. Now, in the interest of fairness, I don't feel sorry for WWE worth a shit. You know why? Because they have leveraged his past, present, and future addiction issues on camera as part of storylines.
Bro.
So I don't care how they feel or how they're affected. I'm looking at it from the perspective of you're a grown man who entered a contract knowing what you were signing up for.
You may not remember this, but there was a point in time where they tried to play on CM Punk's straight edge and had somebody trying to lace his bottle with alcohol. You do remember that shit, don't you?
Me?
Yeah.
Remember what?
I was a lead-in for this whole conversation. For the CM Punk shit when they tried to lace his water bottle with alcohol. And
no, I remember when Chris Jericho poured a faux bottle of Jack Daniels down his face.
Right.
Which I'm sure was like sweet tea or unsweetened tea, but still.
Right. I mean, that's just tasteless because that whole shit went away the next week.
It's the same shit we were talking about with like Charlotte Flair. Like if the breakup is real, you'll hear it because they only pick at open wounds.
Right.
So you have a conversation with them. You tell them the shit you don't do, and that's the shit you're gonna end up doing.
And you know what's even crazy about you saying that about Charlotte? She's got the wrong Huckleberry right now in fucking Becky. If anybody's willing to pull that trigger and like, you know what, I'll take one for the team. Like it's her. But she's dancing with Toni Storm right now anyway, right?
Yeah. So that'll probably be the match for day one. Like this is just a fucking throwaway. This shit is the whole pay-per-view is an extended episode. It's a combined episode of SmackDown and Raw. Like there's no real reason to tune into this other than the fact that on New Year's Day ain't shit else on. Mm-hmm. So the whole issue like with Hardy is the fact that you as a grown man responsible for your own wife and children entered into a contract knowing what that place is like. You're not new. This isn't some big free agent signing. This isn't your first tour of duty. You re-signed after your brother left.
You're like 25 years deep into the game.
Right. No one forced you to do this. You signed a new 5-year deal with the idea that at some point you wanted to have a reign as Universal Champion. And this is out of his mouth. I get it. But again, our new thing here, the best ability is what?
Availability.
What is the second best ability?
Reliability.
You can be available. Well, hell, you half the time you can't be available because the whole thing with Karrion Kross blew up because, you know, you were out here being reckless. Again, like, what the fuck?
Out here vibrating at low levels.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's keep it real. That whole thing went to shit because you got out here and did something, and then Keith Lee took your ass kicking. So you threw somebody else under the bus.
Oh, man.
Shout out to the Grey Goat, Cat Dog Keith Lee. You feel what I'm saying? Like, but you signed that contract knowing what was going on. You took that money. You knew what it was. So for you to leverage your addiction issues, past, present, and future, to get out of that deal so you can go play with the band again, that's some junky behavior, fam.
One line, that's Eddie King shit. One more time.
You want my spot flash? Well, you can't have it because you ain't got it.
Oh, man.
Nights like this, I feel like raindrops could fall.
Man.
I feel like going on.
Yeah, you could, but I mean, this is a show where we still got more.
I was talking about Eddie Kane.
Okay, yeah. We still got more info though.
I don't feel sorry for nobody involved going forward for what happens. WWE basically they covered their ass from a corporate aspect, but your hands aren't clean because you've been leveraging his addiction issues. He found his way out of a contract, like I said, pure genius, but to leverage your addiction issues as the way to get out, it's lame as fuck to me.
Yeah.
And that's it. I wish them all the best in their future endeavors, as long as it's entertaining me.
Yeah, and just for the record, what's the next AEW pay-per-view? We do this every show. I don't know why we do this.
I don't know. I don't know. I haven't learned their pay-per-view schedule yet. Like, I'm not indoctrinated.
Which is crazy because like they only have 6.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is it 6? I thought they only did quarterly.
I think they do 6 pay-per-views a year. So I know they have all out, double or sorry, let's start from the beginning in May. Double or Nothing, All Out. The next one's Revolution, by the way.
Yeah. And then you come back
Full Gear.
Full Gear. Like, I think
so that says it's four actual pay-per-views. And then there's going to be some crap called New Year's Smash that's going to happen at Daly's Place.
That's just when they start naming stuff and like doing like Clash of the Champions. They just do shows that are one-offs.
Yeah, Winter is Coming is starting to be like a Clash of Champions. But funny. Oh, there's also a St. Patrick's Day Slam at Daly's Place too. But funny, I mentioned Winter is Coming. Winter is Coming actually took place this week here in Garland, Texas. They keep saying Dallas. It was Garland, damn it. It's Dallas adjacent, and it's not an arena.
It's a step above a rec center.
Barely. Like, you saw a chandelier hanging. That's part of the set. Well, that's not part of the set design. That's part of the actual the building.
Okay, peep this. It's the place you would go to, like, if there was a 3A basketball state championship game.
You're putting way too much stank on it.
I said 3A.
I'm thinking a 3A or a 2A high school graduation.
Okay, that too. I was trying not to make it seem like it was just a dump, because it's not a dump, but it's a multi-purpose use center type. I've seen arena football played in that same place. Which is why I'm like, how in the hell did they charge what they charge for people to get in here?
Because people pay for it. Remember the first time they had a AEW event? Was it also Winter is Coming?
No, the first time was just their first trip here. That's when we met
Jericho.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna call him one of Cornette's pet names, but no. He was gracious with us. So.
Yes, very very much so, and appreciative.
But them front row seats was $900.
Yeah. Like, kiss my ass, man. That's
suck me. We sideways.
We like money, but come on, man.
Yeah, I like receiving money, and we had this conversation earlier via text on something else. I don't mind paying for shit. But if I'm gonna spend premium money, I want premium shit.
So, Winter is Coming was this past Wednesday.
Yup.
First and foremost, before we talk about the Broadway that was, to anybody listening to this backstage at AEW, you don't have to have MJF out every week, because this back and forth between he and CM Punk, he's obviously murdering CM Punk on the mic. It's hard to find anybody right now that can get Maxwell Jacob Friedman out of his microphone bag on your monkey ass.
You have to play the long game with this, though, because there's going to be people that listen to this show and say, fuck that, CM Punk has had better interviews. You have to look at this in its totality.
Either way,
these are diss records going back and forth, basically.
Yeah, either way, like, you don't have to have him out every week. Like, it is unnecessary to have him out every week. In fact, his value goes up when he's not on TV.
I'm going to differ slightly.
Oh, please.
Only because we've seen with AEW, they'll put people on television, they'll have a smidge of momentum, and then they will fucking disappear. When's the last time you saw Sammy Guevara and cared?
It's been about a month.
Notice I add the caveat, and cared.
Yeah.
When's the last time you saw the Pinnacle all together?
Back in the summer at the pay-per-view.
You see what I'm saying? Like, they'll start some shit that has potential and then abandon it with no real explanation as to why. So I'm cool with seeing MJF every week. Maybe we can start to like the interview he did after the Darby Allin match. We need more stuff like that. Some pre-tapes.
Right.
Because him talking is money. He doesn't have to do it on a live mic with a live crowd all the time. Sometimes he can do a pre-tape or something. But do not take him off television. I'm sick of seeing that shit. Okay, when's the last time you saw the entire Inner Circle together and cared?
The same time we saw the Pinnacle together and cared.
When's the last time Proud and Powerful had a match?
They're actually going to be on Rampage this week, but they're going to be in an 8-man tag.
Before now.
Or is it a 10-man tag? I don't know. I mean, it's been.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're in with a whole bunch of other people, but like they are tag team championship contenders if any of them exist. But when you don't see them wrestle on a regular basis, Jay Lethal went from TNT title match to a fucking battle royal. Dream Match Jay ain't supposed to be doing this.
Dream Match Jay also put on a Mac Classic with Jonathan Gresham at ROH Final Battle.
Exactly my point.
We'll talk about that here in a second too.
Dream Match Jay ain't supposed to be doing random stuff like this. But hell, at this point, I'm like, well, shit, he's getting on TV. So, when's the last time you seen Miro? Now, Miro might be hurt.
He's hurt. I think he's hurt.
Still,
yeah.
You get my point.
Right. I mean, there should at least be a Redeemer promo. We saw plenty Lance Archer shit with Jake Roberts before.
That's who I ain't seen. Not even a medical update.
Yeah, I got a feeling that we'll see him after the top of the year. We might even see him at Wrestle Kingdom. I don't know. Wishful thinking says that.
The follow-up for Eddie Kingston, like, I really feel like they should be giving him more, but I have to be just satisfied that they didn't take him off TV completely.
Well, he kind of, on the last promo he cut on Dynamite this Wednesday, he was basically saying that, Mox is still gone, which is it's a caveat to an Easter egg, basically saying that when Mox gets back, it's business as usual. Hopefully that's the case. However,
what is business as usual?
There it is.
Because they were a tag team, then they weren't, but they kick it together, and you might see them together one week, the next week maybe not. Then Mox is in the tournament, and he ain't said shit about Eddie Kingston, and then Kingston go off, start beefing with CM Punk, which I get it. You're keeping everything fresh or whatever, but those two as a tag team you were going to be able to print money. That entrance by itself prints money. We got tag belts that need to be circulated, and if we're not gonna put them on FTR, it's time to shuffle that shit out. Like, Lucha Brothers have been fine, but if you're not gonna give them consistent different opponents to showcase this title reign, get that shit off of them
already. Now, before we get back in, we were talking about the Winter is Coming. The top of the show. They started the show with Bryan Danielson versus Cowboy shit. I almost called him James Storm. Adam Page. Hangman Adam Page. I was just watching the match because Bryan Danielson was going the fuck off. He was trying to maim Adam Page throughout this match.
It was a thorough ass kicking.
And lo and behold, we got a Broadway out of these two. A time limit draw. One fall, 60-minute time limit. The match went the entire time limit. This one, and is it me? Is it me? Or did we see more blood from Hangman Page than we saw sweat from both of them?
Probably.
Bro, the conditioning for these guys, out of control. If you are an aspiring wrestler, if you're an aspiring athlete, you should watch this match just to learn how to check your cadence and breathing. This was amazing cardio between both of these guys. And I'll go out there and say it, add another one to the match of the year candidacy with this one right here, man. What was your take on the match, man? Because it was a chop fest.
The ending was really good. Daniel Bryan kicked the shit out of Adam Page, so I would figure that Bryan owes him like a beer or something. Like, it gets a. I don't want to call it dry because that would be disrespecting the match, but maybe it didn't need to go 60, but it did. And there's a part in the middle where it's like, what are we doing here? But I liked it. I liked how it ended. I immediately knew once this went past 30 minutes, Hangman was retaining. I just didn't know how.
Right.
Because he was getting his ass kicked too thoroughly. And if you okay, it would have been headline news in this particular universe had Bryan Danielson walked Hangman Adam Page down like he was doing. Had he done all that and then finished him, I mean, I don't know how you come back from that. Like, it would.
I much rather see this happen because it was similar to with Miro losing to Sammy Guevara. How do you make it happen to make it make sense? Well, it was Miro's first loss, and it was for the TNT Championship, and it was time to get the championship off of Miro.
Debatable, but I got you.
I mean, more so for the apparent or the seemingly apparent injury. We can argue about that one regardless.
Yeah. The only reason is the injury.
I'm not going to sit here and listen to Tony Schiavone tell me how successful of a title reign Adam Page has had when he hasn't had one match. So the one thing you're not going to do is take the belt away from him in his first match without a successful defense. That happens in boxing, not professional wrestling. Not with the top tier talent.
Now, I could have booked it. I mean, if he lost his first title defense and then goes back into drinking and like completely falls off the wagon, terrible timing with Jeff Hardy. And then you get your rematch at Revolution, and then you regain the title. Then that's probably a good look. That's a decent story, but.
I don't even know. I was telling you earlier today that kind of reminded me back to the old WCW days, or the World Championship Wrestling, this TV show, not the organization days, where you would have a championship match, and then if the championship match didn't span the time limit of what was remaining on TV, the remaining matches that you had were standby matches. And that's pretty much how I felt last night. The rest of Dynamite went, with the exception of the MJF Dante match, because that man Dante's crazy, man. That dude wild.
he gonna print money sooner than later too.
He might want to slow the hell down though, because he out here one like a half inch away from doing some maiming to his own body.
One need, one speed.
Also, this past weekend, we went out of our way to make sure we got ROH Final Battle, and I'm gonna throw some applause on that because it was pretty good. It wasn't anything to bring down the house, but you had some highlights, cool. Yeah, which is cool. And for the price, cool. I'm cool. Shout out Royce 59. I'm cool with the matches. I mean, with the cost, the $10 or the $20 ticket was actually pretty dope, or $25 ticket rather. Two standout matches: Shane Taylor versus Kenny King, Fight Without Honor, full blown street fight, no DQ, tons of gratuitous weaponry and violence. Shane Taylor defeats Kenny King, and this was an homage to all old school battles. I mean, this takes you back to the ghetto street fights that Butch Reed and JYD would have. This was the end of a blood feud, and they hugged it out in the ring afterwards, which was super dope considering this is quite possibly the last ROH event.
Shout out to Kenny King for the Jordans under Dickies. So.
He had Jordans under Dickies. But what I didn't like was Caprice Coleman sitting here talking about he had black Air Force Ones energy. No.
Listen. I don't know who fed these lines, but somebody was paying attention. Like, they're current. Like, you want WWE level production value with that type of name dropping, with that type of commentary. Somebody got to call him apologize tomorrow. Before Tony lures him over, because I guarantee Morrow will say black Air Force One energy. That's right out of his playbook,
right out of his wheelhouse. Yep, and also will come with a rap coat to go with it. Notable
Mamma mia.
In the Brody King Homicide, Tony Deppen versus Rocky Romero, Brody King Homicide, Tony Deppen, which is Violence Unlimited, and Rocky Romero, they're all in the same team, versus EC3, Eli Isom, Taylor Russ, and Tracy Williams match. Post-match, EC3 grabs the microphone and cuts the longest unnecessary promo ever just to bring out Titan Adam Scherr, which was the first time we've seen the former Braun Strowman since his WWE contract was terminated, or he was feature endeavored, should I say. Don't know how we feel about this because EC3 talked too long, but it's this whole control your own narrative faction that's starting to brew, and you've got two first-class athletes in it. Let's just see where this goes. But I'm sorry, there was 3 matches that were noteworthy. In the semi-main event, you had them boys, Mark and Jay, the Briscoe brothers, taking on OGK, which is Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. The match was decent. Briscoes did what the Briscoes do, but post-match, lights go out, lights come on, FTR's in the ring, and they go to a full-fledged brawl. All but setting up the Briscoes to show up in AEW for the first time in their career with for a larger national audience, which I think they more than deserve.
Them boys are what's best for business as far as what I'm concerned, because I like when wrestlers fight. So if I can get the Briscoes on AEW television beating people up, the chances increase for me to see a full-scale ass-kicking of the Young Bucks.
But it's not going to come before we see a full-scale brawl between them and FTR, because we didn't see Dax Harwood show up. We saw Uncle Dax, and Uncle Dax was with the shit on Saturday night. That's for sure. As we move forward, though, Jonathan Gresham, the ROH, he was the Pure Champion. He lost the Pure Championship prior to being put into this match with Bandito. Bandito, who was the ROH champion, vacated the title, and in this match for the quote-unquote last of an era ROH World Championship, they bring out the original ROH World Championship belt and substitute Bandito with Jay Lethal. And Jonathan Gresham and Jay Lethal put on one hell of a match, and Jonathan Gresham went hard in the motherfucking paint with these forearm shivers, these chops. His deep German suplexes. He was there. He was in his greatest form. We've seen this man live. This was no different from what we saw live, and in fact, they gave him all the time that he needed, which in this case was about 16 minutes. Your winner. I would say in last, but I won't do that. Your winner, ROH World Champion Jonathan Gresham.
I love it for him. I like the idea of the champion being able to basically tour with the title and work one-offs. So I would assume he's going to be on AEW television sooner than later. Impact as well. Possibly MLW. Could see him, New Japan. Yeah, I mean, part of what I saw gave me hope for what ROH might become, because you can kind of rekindle old matches with new flair, like, because you have a lot of talent that was previously in Ring of Honor that's in Impact. Then you also have a lot of talent that was previously in the Ring of Honor that's also in AEW. 100% guaranteed you can get those matches. And when the talent works for the same company, it really doesn't matter how the finish goes, because that's their company's issue. You're just presenting it. So, like, if you wanted to get a Kenny Omega versus pick somebody.
Kenny Omega versus
Jonathan Gresham.
Jonathan Gresham. Why not?
That's 100% possible. You can work that piece of business. If Kenny was still doing the belt collector gimmick, this would be perfect. That's all I'm saying. We got a little room to move. All hope is not lost. I don't think wrestling's dying a slow death, but we're going to start paying better attention to how we eat.
This is a whole fact. There was another issue during, or I guess a bit of interesting circumstance in this pay-per-view as well. In the women's title match, Roxy defeated Willow Nightingale, and Roxy was confronted by the women's champion of AAA, the Reigning champion, that is, and Deonna Purrazzo. And she's about to challenge for the Impact Women's World Championship, or the Knockouts title again. And she has invited Roxy to challenge her for a match in the very near future in Impact for the ROH Women's title, because she wants all the gold. That I'm here for.
I'm with it.
I'm totally here for that, because that means that she has to go to the NWA, and then she comes over to AEW. And you know Kanos is definitely with that shit. Couple things here real quick. On social media, shouts out to ICW. And which one you want to tackle first? You want to tackle Good Try Terry, or you want to tackle this moment in time?
Let's put Good Try Terry first, because then this will make way more sense.
Okay. Good Try Terry. Actually, Bret Hart. Let's say that. Bret Hart is back here being Mr. Grumpy Old Man, best there is, was, never will be, on the front porch smoking a cigar, telling kids to get off his lawn, and he's got rocks for landscaping. You can handle it from here, Suave, on that one.
I mean, Bret Hart just out here applying pressure. I mean,
it'd be different if there was a match about to happen, but that ain't the kind of pressure I want to see.
Man, look, Bret Hart is out here living his best life, being as truthful as he wants to be. He is on no one's payroll currently. He's gonna say whatever he feels like. He's been out what's the word I'm looking for? Outstated. He's been very
outspoken.
Much outside. Yeah, outspoken and outside.
He's definitely outside.
Outside and outspoken about his opinions about Richard Flair. Now Terry Bollea is finna get this smoke. It is what it is. And you can't really refute the stuff that he's saying. Like what he said about Hogan, it's disrespectful as fuck. But when you put the magnifying glass on it, it's like, well, shit.
He's not really lying. So what did he say exactly? Again,
when you cherry pick the disrespect, then it's a little, you know what I'm saying? It's a little easier to see if you cherry pick out the disrespect. But let me look up this exact quote so we can go ahead and put some real smoke on this. Yeah. These quotes come courtesy of comicbook.com. And they have published this article from a couple of days ago about Bret Hart getting outside. WWE Hall of Famer Bret Hart has made it no secret that he doesn't get along with some of the other all-time greats in the pro wrestling industry. In an interview with the Calgary Sun, Hart was asked about his influence on future generations of pro wrestlers, and when the subject of Hulk Hogan came up, Hart said, "I think it all goes back to WWE." Oh, no. Okay. That's written crazy. I think it all goes back to when Gorilla Monsoon called me the excellence of execution. I was just a guy who did everything right. I remember when I started wrestling, I knew how everything worked. I knew how to take turnbuckle hits to the chest. I knew how to body slam. When you want to watch how to do something in wrestling, you watch my matches back. You learn how to do a sharpshooter, and that's how you do it. You want to learn how to do a standing suplex? That's how you do it. I was always that guy. Like, don't break your fucking arm, bro.
I'm gonna be in the dungeon, but the dungeon is gonna be the ring in which you're getting paid to be in. Watch me work. Continue.
You feel me?
Shouts out to my dad Stu. Go ahead.
It's like the equivalent of, you don't have this.
Listen, I have drop toe holds. I have leg locks. I have leg laces. I have headlocks. And Speaking of headlocks, go ahead.
I have leg sweeps from Russia.
the finest of suplexes from Germany. You don't have this.
I have a deathlock I just got from India. An Indian sold it to me. But he goes on to say, and all the Canadian wrestlers like Natalya or Edge were influenced by me, he continued. I think if you look back at wrestling when it was the Hulk Hogan show, he was a 6'8" and a 1 out of 3 wrestler. He was 6'8" and a 1 out of 3 wrestler. He didn't know a headlock from a headlamp. He didn't know very much. He knew how to do a clothesline and maybe a body slam. He was very limited. Vince McMahon took a chance with me and made me that champion. It meant so much to me that I think I tried to live up to be that champion. It was all about being the best wrestler. I gave so much as that wrestler. I was a good role model in the dressing room. All that means a lot. 1993 is still burning the fuck out of him.
Listen, man.
WrestleMania 9, like, it's a lot of shit that goes with what happened at WrestleMania 9.
If Bret Hart at 3 ish, if he had 2021 energy in real life, and say we dial it back to say 31 years of age, would this whole diatribe be described in one word, and that one word being mid?
Oh, bruh.
Woo! Boy.
All I'm saying is that the smoke is very much in circulation.
Before we get to our special guest, one more bit of business for our last show of the year. Don't worry, we got tournaments for your ass, but this one right here, like, this is the last actual news show of the year. There was a moment in time, if you will. A question that was asked in the ICW group that we're in on Facebook, and the question was, which moment would you keep, and which moment goes away forever? All right, the two moments in comparison come from the summer of 1996.
Facts.
One was the formation of the NWO. The other is Austin 316, the birth thereof, following the defeat of Jake the Snake Roberts in the semifinals of the King of the Ring tournament.
Finals.
Was it the finals?
Yeah, he beat Jake to win it.
Oh, so that's the one that Triple H was supposed to be in the finals with, and because he was eating chicken shit, it ended up being Steve Austin versus Jake.
You would be correct. Also, fun fact, Jeff Hardy's working the door.
Nice. In your house. So I know you have an interesting spin on this, so I'm going to say the moment that goes away forever is Austin 316, because you can never rebuild the NWO by destroying, or by having the fans destroy the integrity of Sting in the process, as well as Bobby Heenan, as well as Tony Schiavone. The entire wrestling world was on Sting's helmet over this. I don't think that negative energy for the wrong reasons can be rebuilt. Austin was on a trajectory all his own. I think he goes on to have other moments. 316 was just the notch in the cap that got him to on top of the ladder, looking down on the rest of the wrestling world. What is your take on that?
It's similar to yours.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, like you murdered my shit. You buried the lead, bro.
What? I didn't even know your point of view. That's the crazy shit.
Right. So I looked at it like this. Austin could have cut that same promo the next night on Raw, and actually more people would have seen it. And you would have given them a week to get prepared with the signs. It's an iconic promo. It lives in infamy for a whole lot of reasons. However, to your point, Austin could have done that shit in his sleep.
This is uber facts.
And if we gonna be totally honest about it, Austin 316 caught on with the crowd, but he didn't pop in 96 till the end.
He popped more the end of 97 than he did the end of 96, and that's just calling a spade a spade.
And since we're tying loose ends together, Bret Hart's the reason he popped at the end of 96.
Talk about it.
So, to be perfectly honest, the New York crowd at Survivor Series 96 is what helped make that happen, and him aiming all his vitriol at Bret Hart is what put it over the top. Austin 316 was the cool shit you put on the shirt. we feel we're in agreement that he would have been able to do that at any point. This on the other side, however, you got one shot to get this right.
That's it. And that's it. WCW wasn't known for pay-per-views. They were known for Starrcade. They were known for Clash of the Champions. They weren't known for a totality of pay-per-views.
We're 2 years into actually making a profit.
So
we're climbing up.
Wait. 2 years into making a profit, while you cornered the market on how guaranteed contracts are structured in professional wrestling, you're the only company doing this?
This is exactly why we have to talk about this stuff before we record, because this is all the same shit I'm thinking. You get guaranteed contracts. You get the 90-day no compete. You get the favored nations clause, which a lot of people don't know about. You get agents negotiating contracts on behalf of talent. They changed so much of the business with the NWO and its accompanying members. If you take away the launch with Hogan turning heel, which is probably that might be the biggest moment in modern wrestling. Like,
have we done a Moments mixtape or a Moments tournament yet?
Nope.
Add it to the list.
put a pin in there, because that's a 1 seed. Like, dead ass, it's a 1 seed. But because of everything that Hall, Nash, and Hogan are responsible for in the framework of wrestling, like, literally, they're just now about to start undoing the shit that they kicked off.
For those not in the know, when WCW shut its doors and the WCW invasion, which I throw in air quotes, happened, the reason why you got Booker T and the rest of them guys, and the rest of those guys will remain nameless for purposes of this conversation, is the fact that your level 1A players and level 1B players could not be there in clear conscience and in logic, because they would be throwing away a bag that they were still getting paid from the contract that they signed if they showed up on WWE television. So who better to sit at home and collect a paycheck for doing absolutely, as the Petty Messiah would say, shit nothing?
Canyon. Who better than Canyon?
Who did
it? You see? Broken pencil logic where dreams come true.
Man, Goldberg was probably the biggest poster child. Ric Flair, like, you were waiting. Even, like, I don't even remember what the contract status was for Hogan, Nash, and Hall at that time, but I know that they were waiting it out. There was no conversation to be had until the end of their contract got close, within like 90 days.
They negotiated contracts that were so plush that, let's be honest, they didn't have to do shit else after WCW closed. And for those of you who don't know what the favored nations clause is, it's literally, I signed for what I signed for. However, in the event that you bring someone else in,
they can't make more than me.
They can't make more than me. So if you're going to give them $1 million, you got to bump me up if I'm at 750.
Give me 1.1 to usurp that one that you just brought in.
My nickname is Matchbox. Because you're going to have to check the box to make sure you match me what you giving him. Are you serious?
That's active. That's not even outside. That's just active.
That's the biggest money move. It's the biggest of money moves. And it's perfect for this show.
Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens playing the role of Ted DiBiase in 1990.
Young homie, count this bread.
What did you see on this? Because for the record, we thought Kevin Owens' contract was going to be up in like January, and that he's probably going to jump ship and go to Jacksonville. We know that is not going to be the case for at least 3 years.
Everybody looked at the situation that Kevin Owens was in and felt like he had been languishing with no real direction. He would have start and stop pushes. It just seemed like Kevin Owens was just there. And we felt like, and a lot of people online have felt like, just in wrestling community period, didn't have to be online, have felt like he was capable of so much more. And that the lure of comparable money, less dates, and the change of scenery where you're around familiar faces,
right,
would be enough to entice him to leave. Well, apparently that's not the case. Care of WrestlingNews.co. There's an article about Kevin Owens has finally come forward and kind of spoke on why he decided to stay. So the article goes as such. Kevin Owens decided to re-sign with WWE as his contract was slated to expire in January. The former Universal Champion signed a 3-year deal that will make him one of the highest paid wrestlers in the company.
Price just went up.
The talks between the two sides began this fall. Owens opened up on his decision to Pat LaPrade of TVA Sports, where the full interview is in French. That's fancy as fuck.
Well, he's a French Canadian, so that's par for the course. That's like us speaking English.
But we know, but when has he ever gotten a chance to show that on WWE TV? I think he might have spoke French like once or twice.
Yeah, he has had a couple of glimpses, and they've done some shows in Canada where he did that. But like, let's be honest, that's him going off the rails. That's an angle.
Him.
That's an angle that's being left unturned and untapped. Continue with that, boy.
Cesaro speaks 5 languages. If you could get at Cesaro, Sammy, and Kevin all together, and they literally get around people and don't speak English.
No. Cesaro, Sammy, and KO and Nakamura. And when they finally ask him the last question, Nakamura responds with, "Sorry, we don't speak English."
Nope. The other 3 need to be able to understand Japanese, and I don't know how much Japanese any of those 3 speak.
There's that too. Continue though.
But yes, if we're gonna ride on the fence and the edges of questionable content, yeah, that's pretty fucking funny.
Man, oh boy.
But let's see, 3-year deal, highest paid wrestler in the company. One of the highest paid. Yeah, until Roman decides to re-up. So that whole shit about the egg in Survivor Series, he ain't that far off.
But that wasn't him though. That was Austin Theory.
No. During Survivor Series.
Oh yeah.
And they were talking about the egg, teasing The Rock, making all of us like,
right,
man, fuck you. Boy, fuck you. when they were doing that and had that conversation, and Roman had that parting line of because he was talking about the value of the egg was $100 million, and Roman was like, almost as much as my next contract.
Foresight, foreshadowing.
Hey, especially with how they finna change shit up now. Oh no!
So if
negotiations,
if Kevin Owens is on the front end of this new change, let's just hope that he doesn't have a favorite nations clause in that, because
nothing about WWE says there's a favorite nations clause.
No, well, if anybody's eligible for that, it will probably be at this point the Undertaker of the new era, which is Randy Orton. That'll be the only person who may get that. But I would say,
if I was Roman, I'd put that shit in my language.
If I had to make a mixtape, for the top 5 highest paid, with Kevin Owens being in the middle at number 3, and we already know Randy Orton's number 1. Who is 2, 4, and 5?
Do we? Do we know Randy's number one?
Do we count Triple H?
No.
So in that regard, I would think so, because there was something about the deal that he just got last year. I would assume safely that Randy Orton will be the top of the food chain.
I think that's Randy Orton bias, but hey,
no. That's broken pencil logic. I'm saying because he's been in WWE nonstop, no breaks since 2002.
And
why would he not be the highest paid person? Well, Brock Lesnar. There's Brock. There's Brock.
Thank you.
My bad.
Thank you. I was wondering when you were gonna circle the block on that. I didn't want to be that guy. I was gonna let you figure it out on your own.
All right. So Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. Okay. So
shit, bro.
Reggie, Biggie, Jay-Z, and Nas. All right. Oh.
Damn it, man! Like,
so
Tyson Fury is probably higher paid than fucking Randy Orton.
Contract. I'm sure that contract is up. So we'll say active roster. We got Brock Lesnar.
Yes, Lesnar.
We got Randy Orton. Now,
I'm torn on that. I don't, because look, Roman's re-ups are never publicized.
I'm going to put him at number 3.
We had KO at number 3.
I'm going to put him. I'm definitely putting Orton. I mean, at Randy. Roman at number 3. Unless KO is at number 3 now, and Roman is at 4 until the re-up happens.
We are completely split on this. 100%. I think Roman's way high. I think Roman's probably 2.
You think?
Yeah. Because look, we're not dealing by the new rules yet. We're not on like.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So,
but even still, like Roman's, I feel like Roman's higher.
I don't think so, man.
Nah, that's your Randy Orton bias.
No, I'm telling you, that's not.
He's got one of the more recent publicized, re-signings. You realize we never hear or talk about when Roman's contract comes up because it never becomes a discussion.
Right.
This is what I'm saying.
But my thing is,
we ain't never seen Roman on a countdown to re-up list. Never.
Tenure. And the fact that he is the elder statesman for the locker room. Like,
I will say he probably cashed out when the hype was really high that he might leave, and he sort of leveraged that in negotiation. Like,
and sadly, that was what, 3 years ago. That was at the start of AEW. That was 3 years ago.
Right. So he's on a 3 or 5 right now.
So, damn.
Hey, look, money moves. Sometimes you just gotta let me quarterback this shit. I'm just trying to tell you.
You're trying to get me to think out loud, and it's working. Okay, so let's go with Brock.
That's what this whole show is.
Let's go Brock number 1.
Yes.
I'll concede and say Roman number 2.
Thank you.
I'm going to say KO just jumped to number 3.
The cow jumped over the moon.
Orton should be 4. He should be 4.
Now I agree with you there.
Now who's number 5?
Now here's where it gets tricky. Because a lot of people got new deals. But a lot of those people with new deals got cut. So like the Fiend would have been up there. Mm-hmm. Strowman had comparable money.
Mm-hmm. And we knew what his bag was after he left.
You know what I'm saying?
And I told y'all what that was too before he left.
So if Strowman was getting that, then you got to count up for everybody. Like I would assume.
Do you know? Do you know?
Bobby, do I what?
Do you have to count up because cutting
just because like if Strowman is getting 1 point whatever and I'm higher on the card more frequently,
I think we figured
damn well I want more money.
I think we figured him at 9. I think we figured him around 9.
Okay.
900.
I think Bobby Lashley should be in the top 10 somewhere.
I think he's in the top 10, but is he number 5?
Hell no.
Exactly. There's no, because remember when he came back? I think he's at 4 or 5 right now.
Who?
Lashley.
You think his money's at 4
or
5?
No. Contract year wise, he's at 4 or 5.
Okay.
There's no way he came back anywhere close to Strowman.
So now he will be in the top 5 after this.
Oh yeah, no, not even a question. And he has no merch.
I don't give a fuck about merch. I got 2 t-shirts that people never talk about and I never wear because they want me to show my body as much as possible. It's either a suit or wrestling.
I would say I make these money off these suits, cuh.
Do you feel me? Like, we can sell a Hurt Business pocket square, bitch.
And I would buy that bitch twice on Sunday.
I make money moves.
Oh man,
Bobby Lashley's sunshades.
Who's 5? Who's 5?
You gonna make me look at the fucking roster? AJ Styles, that's who's 5. I was thinking about it and I lost it and just came back.
You know what? I'll take that.
Because AJ has a recent re-up.
And he
re-upped the same time Randy Orton did, so they ought to be...
And this is his last re-up, too.
I don't believe that shit either.
Well, as an active competitor, that's what he said. He said,
I don't
You still don't believe
him.
It. Okay, all right. That's cool.
Again, the lure of Jacksonville is what? Comparable money,
fewer dates, a way lighter schedule,
and I can hang out with my friends.
All of them.
That's it.
the ones across town in Orlando, not at the PC, not at the CWC. You know what I'm saying? And then also your friends that are actually in Jacksonville at Daly's Place.
Then there's that. So until somebody really stops wrestling, I don't believe they're going to stop wrestling after any deal, because there's money to be made. And it's not always about the money. It's about what money can do. And then there's that.
Yeah, Money Moves has got to be the title. I've never named the show. It's got to be it. Money Moves is the title.
Gotta be. I gotta find a picture of Ted DiBiase or some shit.
And describe me how to fuck up a bag for life. DJ Tony Snow.
That's called a segue.
We've been talking money shit all episode.
Okay.
We got one last bit of business, if you will, to discuss. Episode 139, we had on Jerry Bostic, aka the Boss, World Class Pro Wrestling, President and CEO, and also had on Tony Snow. We bring back the family member. You know what I'm saying? Tony Snow.
Can't ban the snowman.
This time, this time's a little different. Tony is a friend, a real friend to the show, friend to me. I'm a friend of his.
Pencil pusher extraordinaire, bitches.
Mark that. Yeah, that's going on the trigger.
But here's what's crazy. We've never gone through your accolades, and there's a reason why I want to do this right now. So tell me, or tell the Pencil Pusher Massive, all the things that you are currently doing and what you have done in this professional wrestling industry.
Well, currently doing, I started out in pro wrestling almost 5 years ago. I got into it with Ring of Honor, and Ian Riccaboni and Gary Juster welcomed me in. I learned a lot from Gary Juster. A lot of people don't know his name, but he's one of the few, if not the only person that was an executive for WCW, WWF, WWE, pretty much everyone. He worked for Eric Bischoff, worked for Vince. And so right from the get-go, I was spoiled because I got to learn from one of the greatest color commentators in this era, Ian Riccaboni, and a master when it comes to the business in Gary Juster. And so then I was able to kind of branch out from there into other wrestling promotions. And since then, in the past 5 years, I work for 7 different pro wrestling companies. I have all access with most of them because I'm a producer. I do audio and video. I make all the theme music for a lot of these promotions. I've also worked backstage and creative and stuff. So it's funny whenever somebody, especially in the past week when I've spoken to people about what we're going to talk about, I've gotten met with a little bit of doubt at first. People will be like, man, I don't have any idea who you are. Who are you to talk about this? And my response is kind of like when I met $1 Million Man as a youngster. I told him, man, I used to hate you when you were on TV. And he said, well, that's good. That means I'm doing my job. And in the position that I'm at, if you know who I am, I'm not really doing my job, because my job is to make the wrestlers in front of me and the guys that are putting their lives on the line in the ring look as good as I possibly can by means of various forms of media. So I work in production for just a ton of different companies right now.
Now, that said, you invited us to an event, which is the event where we actually, we finally met Teddy Long face to face. Had a long conversation with him, just chopped it up, just had a damn good time. And at this event, it was a TV taping for an organization that shall remain nameless as they are no longer valid, relevant. For a number of reasons, and I'm not trying to throw shade or anything like that. It's just this what's in the past is in the past, and there's better things in the future for the people in that organization, as well as you yourself, who was a part of that organization, and especially Teddy Long, which our heartfelt wishes and prayers go out to Teddy Long and his family for what he's dealing with right now as well. That said, we saw who I knew as at that time as Blood Hunter throw a hotel chair, not a folding chair, not a gimmick chair, an actual banquet chair at a rookie, and it hit him in the skull with a I'm probably about 20 rows back. I'm completely out of dodge. I have a bird's eye view from the catbird seat, literally away from the ring, and I heard this with probably close to 1,000 people in this hotel room. And the sound was more like a boom. And everybody in the crowd just said, ah. Typically when like you have like a chair shot or like a wild hit, it's like, ooh. This one was like fear and fright from the crowd.
Real quick, I'm just going to stop you there. And I don't mean to correct you, but he didn't really throw the chair. That would have been one thing, because when you let go of the chair, sometimes you don't know where it's going to land. This guy overbrained this kid. 2 hands went down for him.
Okay, I'm sorry. He cracked the chair.
Hitting a car.
What? Can you repeat the last part again?
It sounded like a baseball bat hitting a car.
Yeah.
The sound from it. It was sickening. It was bad. And not only was Pac Ortega a rookie, he was a student. That was one of his first matches.
And you know, the locker room came out to more so to try to get a handle on him, when no one really knew that they should have been trying to get a handle on Blood Hunter. It didn't dawn on me until this nonsense happened at World Class Pro Wrestling Star Wars, Christmas Star Wars here in Irving, Texas, back on the 11th. It didn't dawn on me that Blood Hunter was fucking Hannibal.
Teddy took decisive action. Teddy went over and started talking to Blood Hunter before he even took his mask off. And Teddy sent him back to Canada for being unsafe. To tell you what type of impact this shot had, and the thing that really sickened me is afterwards, Hannibal kept trying to blame it on the kid, saying he didn't get his hands up in time, and then kind of downplaying what happened. Like, oh, he went to the hospital, but he was let out in 3 hours after they stitched him up. Like it was nothing. It was like he was trying to defer it. But anyway, I hired a friend of mine. Hannibal asked me, because I've known Hannibal since he came on at SWE. Hannibal asked me if I knew any photographers in Dallas that he could pay to be his personal photographer for that show. He did the same thing for Star Wars, which we'll talk about. But I brought my buddy Justin Livingston.
What up, J-Liv?
And Justin Livingston is still shook up to this day, because when Hannibal brained Pac Ortega with that chair, it literally sliced his scalp open and flipped his skin back. And Justin was there looking at Pac's skull. Like, his skull was exposed.
Oh, dub deuce D's. Yikes.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I just wanted to clarify that as you were talking about, that incident at the Statler.
Man. So, now that was very much under the radar. I just happened to be in attendance for that nonsense. Making national and international news is this incident from Christmas Star Wars. Please, you were there for that as well, working with World Class. Please elaborate. Like, let us know your account of what happened.
All right, so I get to the show. I get there early, of course, and go around, collect all the music from everybody, because World Class is they've got this awesome TV deal in place, and starting in January, they'll be running monthly and it'll be broadcast. So this was the last month that I could play unlicensed mainstream music, which, if you know independent wrestling, 90% of the talent uses licensed mainstream music. Like whether it's something that they work out to or it's one of their favorite artists or something, they like coming out to what they come out to. It gets them pumped up, blah, blah, blah. Well, when you're on TV, you can't do that unless you pay licensing fees. Also, if you have unlicensed music on a YouTube video of the show, then YouTube can copyright claim that and keep your entire episode from any monetization at all. I've been telling the guys, hey guys, if you want anything, I'll get it the day of the show. So I'm going around collecting music from everybody. It comes to a point where I have everybody's music but Hannibal's. Now, I knew from the past that Hannibal liked coming out to no music. I always thought it was ridiculous. He always thought it was the heelish thing to do, which whatever, you know how much he really knows about wrestling. You can watch any of his shoot interviews and you can see how little he knows about the business, because he asks people questions that you should never ask somebody if you knew a thing of what they did.
It's like he's just trying to get people to hate him in real life, which why? Why would you?
I don't know. Controversy creates cash, he thinks. But anyway, so I couldn't find Hannibal. I couldn't find him anywhere. Now, Southern Junction is like a labyrinth backstage. And that's going to be important near the end of the story, because when you go up the ramp, you go through where Guerrero, I guess, would be. There's nothing there. It's a replica of the Alamo. So you have to go through the Alamo entrance. You turn right, and there's a hallway. You go down that hallway, it leads to a door. You knock on that door, and you ask for poop. No, I'm joking. Anyway, you go to the hallway, you come to a door, you open the door, it's an office. You go through that office, it opens up into a common area with tons of other offices around it. You go through that area, through another hallway, and you go around a corner, and then you're finally in the locker room. I'm not even joking, man. It takes forever, and I actually got lost trying to find my way back to the locker room. It's that crazy. Plus, the site's under construction too back there. They're renovating. So it's like this whole backstage labyrinth that looks like the house from Home Alone lost in New York. You know, like stuff's hanging everywhere, and there's orange tape and stuff everywhere. Finally get back there. I can't find Hannibal. Justin Livingston shows up because Hannibal wanted to hire him again for this show. So he shows up and he's like, yeah, man, I can't find Hannibal anywhere. They're telling me that he's hiding back in the back drunk. And I'm like, well, damn. And so immediately the minute he said that, I start to worry. Because I've seen wrestlers get in the ring drunk and hurt other people. You know, I saw one wrestler get in the ring drunk and he gigged another wrestler and he gigged them too deep. And there was just a pool of the man's blood in the ring afterwards. And afterwards, people from the show would talk about, hey, don't wrestle someone who's drunk. Don't wrestle drunk. You just don't do that because you're taking someone's life in your hands. And so time goes on. It gets closer and closer. Show's about to start. And then Justin comes back to me and he's like, well, I found Hannibal and he's drunk. He'd been in the back in an RV drinking all the way leading up to the show. So he wasn't even in the locker room, wasn't going over his match, wasn't hanging out with the boys, wasn't, doing practicing any camaraderie or any respect to the business. He was in an RV out back drunk. So the time comes for the show. I see my buddy Lando there, who's a referee. And Lando was brought in for a specific reason. We'll get to that in a minute. But the match starts, and my buddy, who's the ring announcer, I'm up above the ring. I'm in the cockpit, the crow's nest they call it. The sound booth at Southern Junction is elevated, and so I had about probably a 40-degree angle down to the ring. I could see everything that happened in the ring, everything that happened around the ring. I could see up to the walkway. I could see all the ways to the back and all that. I had the best seat in the house, which it should be because it was my job to keep the video screens up and running with who was wrestling in the match, to keep the graphics up, and be able to tell the cues when the match ended to play the music. So Jason James, the ring announcer, I guess he was unaware that Hannibal didn't have any music. So he goes to introduce Hannibal, and the music doesn't start. And instead of Hannibal appearing at the stage, there's silence, like nothing. And so he starts looking around, and he looks up at me, and he's shrugging his shoulders, and I'm trying to tell him, Bloodhunter doesn't have music. This whole time, I'm thinking that maybe, Jason just doesn't realize this, and that's what's holding it up. Well, a few minutes later, like literally minutes later, we were waiting that long, Blood Hunter appears in the doorway.
So he's Hollywooding the whole situation with no music.
I think he was drunk, man.
Wow.
Because he finally makes it to the doorway and he's moving much slower than he usually does. Now, I have been in production and sat through probably about 6 or 7 Blood Hunter matches at this point. Okay. I know the way the man moves. I know the pace and the style that he walks. I know how he acts. And he was just super lethargic, man. It just took him forever to get to the ring. He slowly walked down to the ring. He had Blaze, his real-life girlfriend and manager, with him, and Kevin Sullivan with him. They were both walking behind him. And by the time he finally gets into the ring, he tries to stand up on the second rope to top the crowd, and he almost falls down off of the second rope. Like, he slips. He's messed up. And the referee Colby noticed this, and he's spoken to different news outlets. He's made written articles on Reddit talking about how he could tell Hannibal was messed up, and how as soon as Carlito got to the ring, he told Carlito, "The dude's messed up. Get this done, GTFO." And I'm pretty sure I saw the moment that happened, because I remember seeing right before the match started, Colby talking to Carlito, and Carlito just kind of looked at him in kind of a surprised look. You know what I'm saying? And so the match started, and I'm using air quotes when I say match because it was a dumpster fire. Blood Hunter was obviously out of it. He wasn't listening to anything the ref was saying to him. The ref at one point was even almost yelling at him, and he wasn't listening. And there came a time in the match where Andrew Anderson, Kevin Sullivan, Blood Hunter, and Blaze were trying to reform the Dungeon of Doom, make it a new Dungeon of Doom, new faction. And so Andrew Anderson, especially since he's been traveling with Kevin Sullivan, has been bringing golden spikes with him for his merch table. These are legit Iron Railroad spikes.
The same one you showed me from the show at the Statler.
Exactly. And when I went live on Facebook to talk about this, I showed the spike live on the air. This is a 2 to 3 pound spike, it feels like. I'm sure it's not that much, but it feels heavy. It's iron and it's spray painted gold. Andrew gave this to me when I asked him about the golden spike at Lava Cantina last year. And so I took it. I got Andrew to sign it. I got Kevin Sullivan to sign it. And I have it as a paperweight on my desk. But Andrew Anderson comes down to the ring and he slides a golden spike into the ring to Blood Hunter. Now, in Blood Hunter's response to the TMZ article, he lied. He said that this was a prop given to him by World Class. It was given to him by Andrew Anderson. And he also said that it was the same spike that Kevin Sullivan used on Dusty Rhodes in 1984. I have no idea where that came from because that's a complete lie. This is a spike that Andrew Anderson spray painted gold and sells at his merch table. And so the spike gets slid in. Carlito picks it up, looks kind of surprised at it. Blood Hunter comes from across the ring, gives Carlito a big boot, and then rolls him up in one of the worst roll-ups I've ever seen executed in my entire life, and much less my career in wrestling. This was horrible. A schoolboy could do the schoolboy roll-up better. And the match ended. Well, when the match ended, Andrew Anderson and Carlito started fighting. Carlito knocked Andrew outside. Blood Hunter just starts going after refs. At this point, my buddy Lando comes down to the ring. Now, I don't think I'm exposing the business when I talk about this. I think a lot of pencil pushers are in the know enough to where they know certain things happen. It's a show. It is simulated combat with a predetermined outcome. That's pro wrestling, okay? And so there was supposed to be a ref spot. Lando was brought in for this job. Lando did not referee any of the other matches. Lando was brought in because he can bleed. He's not afraid to cut himself, and he bleeds pretty well, which is a bad thing to say, I guess, about somebody. It seems like it, right? But anyway, so he was hired to come in and give juice. And they even had an extra canvas on the ring. They put the Blood Hunters match as last up before intermission so that after Lando did bleed, they'd be able to take the canvas off and there wouldn't be blood everywhere. Does that make sense?
Yes,
indeed.
indeed.
It was all planned. So Lando was in the back. I saw him moments before it happened, man. I talked to him, had a small conversation, gave him a hug. I want to tell you guys, this happened to the sweetest man in the world, dude. Lando, there's nobody that can say anything bad about him. He's a decorated Army veteran. He was a medic that saw action in Iraq. He was in Fallujah.
Just to be clear, Lando is the referee who was spiked. That was in the clip that's floating around TMZ.
Yes. Lando was the victim here, and so he's given his life for the country. He just lost his wife like 3 months ago. He's a fresh widow, and he brought his daughter with him to the show. So Lando goes down to the ring. Blood Hunter grabs him. And Blood Hunter didn't just grab him, to mess with him, whatever. From the looks of it, he had malicious intent in mind, because he grabbed him and he picked him up by his throat from behind and put his knee into his back. So he's sitting here with Lando on the ground on his stomach. He's got a knee into Lando's back, and he's prying back up on him with around his neck, choking him out. Lando was literally unconscious before he could even cut himself, right? And so that's when a lot of footage in the video starts. You see Lando getting choked, and you see Blood Hunter. First, he starts by scraping the spike on Lando's forehead. And then I guess when that didn't produce enough blood, he starts legitimately stabbing Lando in the cranium with this spike. And again, in his response video to TMZ, he keeps saying he thought he was holding the spike low enough to where it wasn't hitting him. And he couldn't see it because of the mesh covering his eyes. It's like, dude, if you couldn't see, you had no business trying a freaking spot.
That part.
Second of all, the way he was holding the spike, it was obvious. And I can show you the spike I have. It is the exact replica of the one that was used. If he was holding the spike down to the bottom, much more of the spike would have been sticking out of the top of his fist than there was in the videos. So there's no way he was holding it just where his hand would be hitting Lando's head like he said he was. So he keeps spiking Lando in the head. Everyone in the crowd is just silent and kind of shocked at what's going on. But at this point, people still think it's part of the show. The guy who was sitting next to me worked for Southern Junction, and he kept telling me that he pro wrestled for almost 30 years. He was trained by this person, trained by that person. And when it happened, he kept saying, "Oh, this is part of the show, man." But I had a feeling it wasn't. I was standing up in my production spot, and my eyes were transfixed on Lando. Blood Hunter wouldn't stop. At this point, referees came out, were surrounding the ring. Certain executives that were close were surrounding the ring, trying to get Blood Hunter to stop. Aaron Presley finally reached in, grabbed Lando by the legs, and pulled Lando out of the ring. And Lando left the ring like a limp noodle. There was no life to him whatsoever. And he left a trail of blood that looked like something in a Halloween horror movie, man. It was bad.
Wow.
Lando hits the ground and he flattens right out. He's unconscious. He didn't make any effort to break his fall or nothing. He landed straight on the mat and he didn't move because my eyes stayed transfixed on this guy. We would find out later that his body was going through shock. I forget the actual name of the shock, but he lost over 1.5 liters of blood. And so when that happens, your body goes through shock from your organs not being able to get the blood that they had been getting. His body shut down. He was out of it. So at this point, I run down to the ring. I'm literally right over the shoulder of the people that are attending to Lando. Chaz Taylor, an NWA legend's right next to me. He's in disbelief. You know, everyone that was that close knew that this was not a freaking work, man. At one point, Lando kind of jerked to life, and he let out one of the most blood-curdling screams I've ever heard. That was him regaining consciousness from the shock and from being choked out. And then he kind of lost consciousness again. And at that point, the Irving EMTs were there. Irving Police Department has showed up. And in one of the most sickening displays in my life, I look up and I see Blood Hunter, Devin Hannibal Nicholson, who years ago was cut without permission from Abdullah the Butcher, contracted hepatitis, sued Abdullah and won a judgment for $2.3 million.
Jesus Christ.
Why he even wrestles as the Blood Hunter in a gimmick where he draws blood from his opponents when he got cured from hepatitis after being stabbed without permission. I don't know why he's doing it. Maybe he's sadistic. Maybe he thinks he's getting revenge on Abdullah by stabbing all these people. I don't know. But he's sitting in the ring on his knees, and he's running his hands into the pool of Lando's blood, and he's rubbing it all over his chest, almost in like a sexual type of way.
No.
And so people keep attending to Lando. I look over and I see Blood Hunter exiting the men's bathroom. His chest is clean now. He's washed off all the blood, but he's got a towel over his head. And he walks to the room, through the door to the back room, and he's followed immediately by the Irving Police Department. So Lando gets taken out, and the next day, man, Hannibal posts a video on Facebook talking about how kayfabe is still alive and all this crap. And I made some comments on there, and he reported my comments as harassment and bullying. So I spent 3 days in Facebook jail.
Which is sucker shit.
And so I'm just, over the past few days, man, I've just been inundated with people. And it's been rough seeing all these people spouting lies and spouting false narratives, calling it a work, saying they know what went on. Here's what really went on. All this stuff when they don't. And
I don't give a fuck, man. You sent me two pictures, bro. You sent me two pictures with at least, I'm trying to think. Actually, you sent me three. One picture had at least a pint of blood in it on a hospital bed on a gurney. And then the other two pictures had, I counted 9 staples.
Yeah. And
in
those
the cranium
staples
of Lando.
Those staples have since been removed because Lando's contracted a blood infection from the gold paint on the spike. And he's actually having more treatment now. He's had to go back to the hospital 3 times, man. And so, I got tired of the people saying that. I got tired of the people that were like, oh, there had to have been monitors in the back room. The back room should have seen this and been right out there. Well, no, there wasn't. Out of all the professional companies I work for, I can count about 2 of them that actually have monitors in the locker room. Believe it or not everybody has the budget that AEW has. And then the second thing that really got me heated is, if this was real, then all the vets in the locker room would have been beating him down in the ring. He wouldn't have been able to walk out of that building. Well, first of all, it took everybody minutes to get to the ring. I spoke earlier about how the back room area was like a labyrinth. And when they did get out to the ring, everyone's attention was on saving Lando's life. Which, when it comes down to it, I would have much rather than be concerned more with saving Lando's life than getting revenge on Blood Hunter immediately. And then when Blood Hunter did go to the back, one of the referees started yelling at him. And, Irving Police was right there. When one of the refs started yelling at him, saying you could have killed him. And he almost started to come at one of the refs, man, in front of the cops. And Jacob Fatu, one of the most stand-up guys in the business I know, was ready to smash Blood Hunter right then, bro.
Whole lot of fucking gang shit.
Yes, Jacob Fatu was ready to just crush him, and people held Fatu back because the cops were right there.
Why am I so not surprised?
At that point, they all yelled at him to leave, and Blood Hunter left. And the next thing I know, he's already back in Canada the next day. And he hid the spike that he used. They can't find the weapon. So, I'm pretty sure that he hit it so that he could always say, oh, the blood's from the blade. He did that to himself if it comes down to it. But that's the main gist, man. That's what all happened. Hannibal was drunk. I'm kind of upset, and I will say this. I'm kind of upset and disappointed in Kevin Sullivan because he's been around forever, and he let Hannibal get out and wrestle in the condition he was in. As Hannibal's manager, he shouldn't have let that happen. And then after the fact as well, Kevin Sullivan told one of the refs to kayfabe the cops. Yeah, and he told me to tell the cops it was all part of the show. And thirdly, I just want to say, Jerry Bostic, it's his company, but what happened were the results of one man. And I'm getting really tired of people who not only weren't there, but some of them were hundreds or even thousands of miles away that have had problems with Jerry Bostic in the past. And they're using this to bury him. It's selfish, it's immature, and it's cowardly chicken shit.
And Jerry's a stand-up guy, man. If he wasn't a stand-up guy, we wouldn't have had him on our fucking show.
You're literally taking the spotlight off of the blame on Hannibal and shifting it to Jerry because of what he did to you. And so you're saying that, oh, my feelings are more important than what's going on. You know, screw Jerry. That's sucker shit, that's chicken shit, and whoever's doing it. And I know there's people I'm close to. There's people that I love and care for that I've called brothers that are using this, and they're posting almost every day, getting on the it's Jerry's fault, let's bury Jerry bandwagon. Fuck you, buddy. Because you're taking this shit and you're making it about something that's not. Jerry Bostic did the responsible thing. He cut ties with Hannibal right away. He's planned a fundraiser show for Lando. He's cooperating with everyone that's talking to him. I judge people on my dealings with him, and he's always been nothing but respectful to me. He's paid me on time. He's been kind and courteous to me, both over messages and in person. So anybody that is trying to shift blame from to anyone from Hannibal on this, you can go fuck yourself. And I said that.
And there's no better way to leave than that, man. Happy holidays to you and yours. Let's see here. Rest in peace to Hub of the Roots. Rest in peace to Jimmy Rave. And also shouts out to M. Slago for the release of the Spaz after a 10-year building of this project. Nothing else to say after all this money talk, man. Suave, take us to the house one last time for 2021.
Pencil pushers. Heads up. Pencils down.
There it is. Straight like that. Straight like that.